Did you know, before Rome's legions, there were warriors so feared, so unbreakable, the world called them Spartans. Today, journey with me into the past, to reimagine the fire and fury of Sparta's last stand, where courage became legend. Sparta was no ordinary city. From birth, its sons were forged in fire. At 7,
faster,
they were
boys!
torn from
Push
their
through
mothers
it!
and cast into the Agoge, a crucible of pain and discipline. Every trial hardened them. Hunger, pain, discipline. Weakness was cast away. Only the strong endured. Pain was a teacher. Brotherhood, their only comfort. By the time a Spartan took his shield, he was already a weapon of the state. His only purpose, to fight, to never retreat. This was Sparta's secret, every child broken and rebuilt into steel. But training alone does not forge legends. War does. And soon, their trial came. The Messenian Wars, where Sparta's way of life would be tested in blood for the first time. The Messenians were fierce and outnumbered Sparta. Yet in phalanx formation, shoulder to shoulder, Spartans became an unbreakable wall of bronze. Years of brutal war ended in Spartan victory. The Messenians fell, enslaved as helots, their toil fueling Sparta's rise to power. From this conquest, Sparta learned a truth. Survival demanded not numbers, but discipline, and so their obsession deepened. Soon, Sparta's might stretched beyond its walls. They forged the Peloponnesian League, binding Greek cities under their iron hand. Within this league, Sparta stood supreme, the spearhead of Greece, feared by allies, dreaded by enemies. But beyond Greece, a storm was rising. The Persian Empire, vast as the horizon, marching west with fire and steel. Led by Xerxes, master of millions. His empire stretched from Egypt to India, and now his eyes burned toward Greece. From the banks of the Euphrates to the mountains of Asia, Persia commanded endless ranks. Archers, cavalry, and the immortals, warriors cloaked in black and gold. To the Greeks, they were a tide of darkness. To Sparta, they were destiny. Envoys came first, demanding earth and water, symbols of submission. But in Sparta, they found only defiance. The Spartans threw the envoys into a well. Their answer was clear: dig it out yourselves. And so, the world held its breath. For at Thermopylae, 300 Spartans stood against an empire. Leonidas, their king, stood unflinching. His words to his men, "Tonight, we dine in Hades." The Persians came in waves, shields glinting, arrows blotting the sky. But the pass was narrow, and Sparta's wall of spears held strong. Wave after wave broke against them. Persians fell in heaps, their cries echoing against the cliffs. Even the immortals, Xerxes' elite guard, were humbled, crushed in the chokehold of Spartan steel. 3 days of fury, 3 days of unyielding defiance. The world watched a legend being carved into stone. But betrayal came. A Greek traitor revealed a hidden path leading the Persians around the pass. Leonidas knew the end had come, yet he chose to fight, not for victory, but for immortality. The last stand began. Spartans roared, their cries shaking the mountains as Persian ranks closed in. One by one, they fell. Shields shattered, spears broken, but their defiance burned brighter than flame. Leonidas fought until the end, struck down under a storm of arrows and blades. The Spartans were gone, but their sacrifice lit a fire across Greece, a call to rise. Athens, once divided, now rallied. Sparta's defiance lit the flame of unity that Greece so desperately needed. Navies gathered, hoplites drilled. From city to city, men prepared not for survival, but for vengeance. 2 years later, at Plataea, united Greek armies struck back, and at last, Persia bled. The Persians were broken. Xerxes' dream of conquering Europe died, shattered on the same land where Spartans stood. But Thermopylae endured far beyond the battlefield. It became a legend told from generation to generation. Poets sang of Leonidas. Mothers told their sons of the men who chose death over surrender. Even centuries later, Rome itself would look back at Sparta, borrowing its discipline, its courage, its unyielding code. From the ashes of Thermopylae rose the idea that free men, united, could resist the might of empires. 300 Spartans stood, 300 fell, yet their story has never died. To this day, Thermopylae remains not just history, but a symbol of defiance, of sacrifice, of immortal courage. This was the story of the 300. Not gods, not myths, but men who chose to stand when others fled. And so, when we remember them, we do not mourn, we honor. For their sacrifice forged a legacy stronger than bronze, sharper than iron, brighter than fire. And it all began with 300 men who chose death so their people could live. This was Sparta. If this story moved you, honor their legacy. Subscribe for more cinematic history where every legend lives again. This is What If, where the past meets possibility.